Excel Module 2 Advanced Features 1A. Go ahead and open the Excel spreadsheet. Enable the editing. If you look down at the bottom, I have 5 worksheets within this workbook, and I've named them all so they're not just sheet 1, sheet 2, and I've also color coded them. So the first thing we're going to do is click into G6, and we've been working with basic formulas. This one is a complex formula only because it has more than one math operation in the formula. What we want to do is add, this is quarterly, so for the first 3 months we want to add the sales for January, February, and March, but then subtract the returns. So in G6, start with equals, and you'll click C6 plus D6 plus E6 minus F6. And there's your formula. Check. And go ahead and drag it down. So that's your sales for the first 3 months less the returns. Now some places work on commission or bonus. So this one is 3%. It'll be based on column G, which is their totals less returns. So in H6, your formula starts with equals, and I want to select G6. I'm just going to press the left arrow, and there's G6, multiply, and the rate is 3%, and that's in B16, so check. There I have my answer, fine. I'm just going to come back here for a second before I do the fill handle, just to go over the formula. It was C plus D plus E minus F, and the only thing that changes is the row number. So if I press the down arrow, everything's the same, just the row number. That's relative cell reference. In here, go ahead and click in H6, do your fill handle. And you should get some strange things. No worries, we're going to fix that in a minute. You're going to undo, but just for a second I want to show you what happens. So the very first formula was perfect, G6 times B16. So when I press the down arrow, it should be G7, which is the next row, which it will be, but watch what happens to the B. It thinks it wants, well, B17 after 16. B18. So it thinks that it wants to follow that pattern, but we don't want that, so we'll click undo. Go into the formula bar. So in order for Excel to only look at B16 so that they all will be times B16, you have to what's called absolute cell reference. So it looks nowhere beyond column B or nowhere beyond row 16. To do that, you need a $ in front of the B and a $ in front of the 16. If you press the function key labeled F4 at the top, it puts it in there for you, or you could manually do that. Now I'll do check mark, and then I'll do my fill handle. And if we look at the formula, it'll be G6 times B16, G7, B16, G8. So it changes, so they're all B16. And this would be handy if you had a lot of rows to worry about. Now, if you wanted to change the percentage at the bonus rate, if I wanted to give them 10%, I just type it here. When I press enter, all the bonuses are automatically adjusted. But I'm just going to undo and keep it 3%. So in A14, type total, and then you want a total for January, auto sum, and you can use enter, and then drag that across. And then for the smallest amount, this is based on column G, and it does not include the total. So if you look at there's not many figures to look at, you can see that the smallest is that 11,000. And if you were to look at the largest, it would be the 38. But if you had a lot of rows to look at, you would want the computer to do it. So click in H16, click the down arrow, and then select minimum is smallest. Make sure, never selects the right range, make sure you select G6 to G13, enter, then the largest, which is max, same range, G6 to G13, do not take the total. Average is going to be all the stores, so there is an average. We'll add them all up and divide by as many as there are, so select all of them, do not take the total. So that's the average, 8,427. Over in B18, you would like a bonus payment to be 30 days after the closing date. So the formula is equals, I'm going to press the up arrow, which is B17, plus 30. And you don't have to do this part, but if we were to do the fill handle, it'll always add 30, but it knows how many months, what months have 30 days and which months have 31 days. So just continue to add 30. So let's go to the next worksheet. Oh, today's date. Anyone remember the formula? It's equals today, open, close parentheses. Or if you click formula and choose date and time, you can just click today and OK. Either way, that formula is in there. Okay, count. So we are in B12 and I want the total calories. So Alt equals, enter. There you go. Now I want to know how many ingredients are in here. So of course you could count that there's 7 there, but you want, especially if there's a lot of rows, you'd want it to count for you, but you don't want it to include the total. So you're telling it to count how many numbers, not a total of the numbers. So I'm going to use the auto sum button here, and it's called count numbers. Just make sure that the range does not include the total. So I'm just going to reselect. So it should be B5 to B11 and you should get 7. All right, next worksheet is called combine. So I want you to combine the country code with the phone number in one cell. So they're not 2 separate cells. So we're going to do the new way first. So you type open parentheses 61. Close parentheses. I'm going to put a space bar, 212-555-0167. Of course, make sure that the number's accurate. If it's not correct, it won't work. So I'll press enter and I'll just start my next one. And there it is, done, enter. So this is the flash fill. This is a newer feature in Excel. The old way, you actually had to type a formula, and the formula is equals, and I would click A2, and then I'm going to press the space bar because I want to leave a space between the country code and the phone number, and then the and sign, B2, check, and there you have it. So it's a little different, but it's a formula. That's the old way. Transpose, go ahead into the next one. So we're looking at this one, and you know, because it's quarterly, we probably should have the column headings quarterly instead of the regions. The regions should be in the rows. So what you do is select everything that you use rather than type it all over. Click the Home tab, copy, and then I'm just going to click in A10 and paste. But make sure you select transpose, and now it's by quarterly. So you could come up here and delete those if you wanted, but we can leave that. The marquee that's flashing around, the recent copy, just press escape and it goes away. All right, last one, English. Click in H6. And I would like you to add the 6 test scores up and divide by 6. So in the auto sum down arrow, average, and it already knows the average of B6 through G6, check, and then go ahead and fill handle. And then this one is called, this is an advanced feature, an advanced formula called a logical formula. So based on what their average is, which is in column H, they're either going to pass or fail. So you want to press what's called the FX, which is insert function, and you can do it right here from the formula bar, or you can go to formulas and click it here. So the FX is insert function. So I'm going to do it from right here. And for the category, make sure it's logical. And the test is an if test, and OK. And you can move this if it's in the way. So it's starting the formula. So my logical test is telling it to look at this, the average, which is in H6. And if it's greater than or equal to 60, if it's true, they pass. If it's false, they fail. And if you look at the very first person, their average was 77.3, so it is a pass. Then click OK, and then fill handle. And I have, yep, fail. There's 3 fails. So based on, still on their average, and of course if they didn't pass, they failed, they will not get the 3 credits. So it's exactly the same formula. So based on logical, if, OK, based on the average, which was H6, greater than or equal to 60, if it's true, they get 3 credits, and if it's false, they get 0. And then click OK and fill handle. Perfect. So click the very first worksheet, which was the complex formula. And so right now we have multiple pages or sheets that we want to have our header and footer on all of them. So in order to do it on all of them, if we don't do this, it would only be on the first one. So you selected the first one, hold Shift and click the last one, English. They all changed to the same faded color. Now go into File, Print, and I'm going to make sure now I'm getting all of the sheets, but I want to make sure that I have the entire workbook. And then again, it's in portrait. So when I go, I can change it here, or I'm going to go to page setup and I'll change it to landscape. Then I'll go into margins, check off center horizontally and vertically, and then header footer. I'm going to do a custom header. On the left will be the date, in the middle will be my name, and on the right will be the file name. Okay, okay. And there we have it. So it's on the first one, and landscape changed it to from 7 to 5 pages. Perfect. And that's a save and submit.